Well, hello, everyone. We are so glad that you have decided to join us today for this important and amazing webinar where we will be discussing staying safe from online harm through animation. So we have brought together, as you will see, a powerful and amazing group of women, and we will be discussing this crucial topic of today's digital world. So you will see that we are very excited to showcase some insights and tools to help children and communities be safe. Before we get into that, I wanted to introduce our amazing speakers. Here we have Zuzana from Child Help, or like I like to call her, Sue. Child Health is one of the largest nonprofit organizations in the US. And for decades, they have been preventing, and also their focus has been into the prevention of child abuse. So Sue in a little bit will be telling us all about that. And also we have Leah from Meta. Thank you so much for coming, Leah. Leah, we're so grateful to have you because I know that without you and your help and your support, this initiative would have been very difficult to achieve. Meta's commitment to online safety and their investment in resources to protect their users, specifically children, makes them a crucial partner in this effort. And also, you have me today. My name is Maria, and I'm part of the Bunny Studio team. So we are a creative production partner specializing in video, as you will see today, and you will hear more about it. But we also work in design, translation, voice, and audio. We are proud to be hosting this webinar today, and we are going to contribute with our expertise in animation because we feel that animation can be a powerful tool for education and also to create awareness. So to start, we're going to give you a sneak peek of one of the 5 videos that is part of this series, so you can see what we will be discussing today. So if you can please play the video.
Ladies and gentlemen, your host for tonight's show,
Welcome to Help is Here, where we explore all the ways to get help if you ever feel unsafe online. If someone is in immediate danger, call 911. Contestants, here is your first question. And what if you spot red flags, like someone asking too many personal questions?
Block them.
You got it. What can you do if someone online is pushing your boundaries?
Report them to the app.
That's right. Apps have ways you can report so they can look into it. Next question. Where can you go when you need someone to text or chat or could use some extra support?
Message a helpline.
That's right. Helplines are there to listen, give advice, and help with things like relationships or creating a safety plan. Last question. What if there are explicit pics of you online and you want to help stop the spread of images?
Go to Cyber Tip Line.
That's correct. There is always help. Just search online for Cyber Tip Line. You can find resources to help even if a picture has already been shared. Remember, there's always help available. See you next time on Help is Here.
Thank you so much for that video. That is one of my favorite ones. And we're going to have right now the opportunity to discuss more in depth about how this project was created and this series was basically built with this amazing team here present. So Sue, I want to give you first a word, and I want you to tell everyone a little bit about the history of Child Help and how it has been for decades supporting communities and children to be safe.
First of all, thank you so much for hosting this. This is a wonderful showcase. And so, yeah, Child Help has a long and amazing history. It was founded in 1959, and our founders, Sarah O'Meara and Yvonne Feddersen, are still doing the work every day. So it's yeah, that's amazing to see. If you want to find out more about the history, there's it's great synopsized on our website, childhelp.org. So Child Help does all kinds of programming from prevention to intervention, treatment, and advocacy. You can find out more about that at childhelp.org as well. I'm on the prevention side. We have 2 national and often even international programs that focus on that. One is the National Child Help Hotline, and that's been around for over 40 years. It's just a wonderful place for anyone to get answers to questions, help with resources, and with counseling. We have professional counselors available at that hotline. And they're a natural partner with our curriculum, which is where I work. I'm the curriculum program manager. And basically, I help to update and also create new curricula. We have a core evidence-based program that's all about child abuse prevention in general, and it's evidence-based for all grades. It's the only one that is pre-kindergarten all the way up to 12th grade. And so what we do with specific risks that children and teens face, is we add modules on top of that. And we always work with a group of experts in any particular arena. So for example, we have a human trafficking prevention module for middle and high school. And then we were so excited when Meta approached us for this new module about online harm prevention. So Meta also, Leah in particular, helped us to create the advisory group that we walked through the whole process with, and whose amazing resources we're also able to share at the same time. So it truly was collaboration, and we're very much aware that prevention happens in partnerships. So these partnerships have been extremely important.
Thank you, Sue. And when you mentioned that Meta approached you, where do you think this inspiration came from? And this is also a question for Sue and for Leah. How did this idea that we brought to life through these 5 videos, where did that idea came from?
Great question. One of the things that, as an educator and curriculum developer, I have always been aware of the importance of going to those who will benefit from and utilize a curriculum. So it's important to get educator voices as well as youth voices. And so, we started out with that. We had the kernel of an idea, and from past research, knowing that people, especially kiddos, need to see themselves portrayed in something like a video. And the easiest way to do that is not to portray any specific type of person, but rather utilize characters that are not, human beings of any particular type. So that's what we started with, but we took those ideas to a group of youth in the correct age, and this module is for middle schoolers, so around ages 10 to 15 years old. And so we went to a group of, specifically that age range, and they helped us through creation of the characters and the scripts themselves. And I'm going to let Leah talk a little bit more about that amazing collaboration.
Awesome. Thank you. And thank you for having me. That collaboration with youth directly is so central to this work. And it was through our partnership and part of our expert advisory council too with Thorn. So Thorn is a nonprofit that builds technology to combat child sexual exploitation. And we've worked with them for many, many years. Actually, I was at Thorn before I came to Meta, so long-standing relationship there. And they really believe that youth voices and experiences are absolutely essential to building these safer spaces online. So they have their No Filter youth brand that really elevates those youth voices. And at the heart of No Filter is the Youth Innovation Council. And with the Youth Innovation Council, they create these really hands-on opportunities for youth to be improving their digital landscape, including these seat at the table workshops is what they're called. And so these are opportunities for tech companies to engage directly with youth and really foster that collaboration. So for this curriculum, we were so glad to host 2 seat at the table workshops and really put those voices at the center of this work and help us better understand both what youth thought were most important to focus on in the curriculum. So we added new pieces, the scope sort of shifted based on what we were hearing from them. And then very importantly, how to deliver those messages. And so much of the creative work and the collaboration there really was informed by their voices.
Thank you so much, Leah and Sue. And if I may say, I love that this was actually part of the production, because sometimes people might think that the ones creating the videos and the ones that are creating the scripts usually have no contact with the actual audience. So they have like no idea of how this content is going to be basically perceived by the audience. So I love that we were including the teens and we were including these children from the get-go. So we basically already had part of the journey kind of a pre-approved, if we might say, like, okay, they like it or they don't like this, let's switch, let's change. So I love that that was really part of this project, because that is what made it so unique. So thank you for taking that into account when you were producing this. And that basically connects me to, I think, one of the most important questions that I wanted to discuss today is, why do you believe that this series and its message is so crucial in today's digital landscape? Because we know that the reality where we're living in is a very fast-paced technology advance. We are seeing that things are moving so fast for us, more for children. So I wanted to ask, like, why do you think this message is so important to share nowadays? Leah?
Absolutely. And I love this curriculum so much. It's really teaching young people what to look out for, how to get help, how to develop those skills that young people can navigate both their online worlds and their offline world safely. So things like setting personal boundaries and recognizing healthy and unhealthy relationships. They span from the online world, they span from the offline world, and we know that those things are really integrated. And so in the sort of why this is important and the why now, at Meta, we've spent many years developing tools and technology to help fight online abuse and help protect young people online. But we know that this is a really adversarial space where people that are trying to do harm may try to get around those protections. And so that's why it's so important that we're teaching young people these skills, that we're teaching them early so that they feel really confident to spot those signs of potential abuse and to know where to go for help if this happens to them or if it happens to someone they know.
Absolutely. And what we tried to do is, one of the things that we know from educators and from folks that have used our and other programs is that it helps to have a very engaging way to present to the actual students any concepts that are really important, and then they can be discussed further by those who are teaching the curriculum. So we wanted to utilize this series of 5 videos to present what we call the 5 critical messages about online safety that we're presenting. One is that there are ways to help prevent bad things from happening by raising awareness and recognizing issues and knowing how to speak up and where to look for help. That they can offer and take peer support. That's so important. And it's one of the things behind, as Leah was mentioning, the Youth Innovation Council and the entire youth, the no filter idea where youth can get together to create a safer and better internet for themselves. Then there's another message is that it is never the fault of the victim, no matter what they did or somebody tricked them into. That is a key, because they need to, then the next critical message is that they should speak up about it. If they have no one in their immediate lives, there are helplines that they can contact. There's the Child Help Hotline, as I mentioned. There's also the Cyber Tip Line, and there's other places that they can contact. And then that there is help available. There are actually ways that services can work these days to get private and compromising photos and images taken down. A lot of people don't know that still. So we wanted to make sure to merge all of those important resources and how to access them and make sure that kids of all ages know about it, so that they never feel like there's no way out.
100%. And I love that the overall message is, first, of course, you can prevent it, but if something happens, there is always a way to act. Like the fact that with this series, you're offering the resources and the tools without judgment, I feel that is so precious, because as kids, I feel that sometimes, of course, when we grow up, we forget, but we could feel judged. Like, I don't want to speak up because what happens if I tell this to my parents? What are they going to say? They're going to ground me. Oh my God, I screwed up. But on these videos, you're going to see that basically it's not your fault. You are the victim here. And as a victim, we are here to protect you. Like, that is the end goal of it. So I love that that is kind of the message that is being betrayed, because I feel like that is so important right now. And if I can jump into when Meta decided to partner with Child Help, I would love to understand, like, what is specifically, Leah, if you have more information, kind of drew Meta to choose this amazing partnership, because I've been working with Sue for a couple of years now. And I mean, I'm a fan, and I'm a fan now of this partnership.
I am a fan too. And just going back really quickly to what you were saying, where there are so many barriers to getting help, whether that's shame or fear or embarrassment. There are so many barriers. And so the curriculum is amazing in that it approaches it from the get-go, where instilling those sort of like skills and knowledge to prevent it from happening, but then also in the cases where something might have gone wrong, really encouraging that help-seeking behavior, the knowledge of those resources. So absolutely being able to prevent it and being able to respond when it happens. And now back to your question, because I'm a big fan too. And Zuzana also hit on so many of those reasons just in describing their overall work in terms of like why we really wanted to partner with Child Help on this. So not only are they one of the US's leading child safety nonprofits, but we were incredibly impressed by their existing evidence-based curriculum and their focus on continuing to build that out with different complementary modules. So being able to plug into that sort of ecosystem, also plug into their other initiatives like the hotline, where that can tie in directly to the curriculum, was so valuable. So we were looking for that partner to help teach middle schoolers how to stay safe online. They were definitely a natural fit. And then, as Zuzana mentioned as well, their development process is super impressive. So convening that expert advisory group is so valuable in bringing all of those voices to the table. So not only do we have Child Help and Meta's expertise, but the curriculum was developed with input and resources from multiple world-leading child safety experts. So the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, from Thorn, from the Department of Homeland Security, Purdue University, and the Crimes Against Children Research Center. And then, of course, as we talked about already, with those insights and feedback directly from teens. So their evidence-based curriculum, being able to build on that, being able to plug into their additional programs, and then what that overall development process looked like, absolutely amazing.
I love it, because I also feel like Child Help has so much information gathered, of course, in more than 40 years working and doing their best in preventing child abuse. I feel like, Sue, correct me if I'm wrong, but you have so much information gathered throughout all of these years that have allowed you to have that expertise when coming into such a challenging project.
Right. Yeah. The hotline's been around for over 40 years, but child help has been around for over 65. And you're right. There's so much information gathered. We also are very keen to looking at the research that's out there from others. And the research shows, and this is why we're so focused right now on prevention education because the research out there, the body of information shows that prevention education of kids and teens themselves works toward prevention. So we're going to keep on doing that.
And you're getting like vigorous head nodding from me because there's so much we can do as platforms to really put those safeguards in place. But the best situation is to have that work happening in that education space upstream. And prevention education does work.
Yeah, and that brings me kind of to my next question, that we all know that in today's digital age, social media companies play such a significant role in shaping the online experience, not only of us, but of course of the young people that are using those platforms. So, Leah, like, what do you see as Meta's core responsibilities in protecting child safety online?
Absolutely. So, as I mentioned, we spent years developing tools and technology to help fight online abuse. We actually have 50 tools and resources that we've created for both teens and parents in making sure that they're able to have these really safe experiences. So that includes a range of new anti-sextortion features, and sextortion was one of the pieces or is one of the pieces that's covered within the curriculum. And so we have a lot of new on-platform features that we've launched last year. We have Instagram teen accounts, and that automatically limits who can contact teens. I won't go into that too much now, but hopefully might have a chance to talk about it a little more later. But as I mentioned, like this is a really adversarial space. And so people that do want to try and do that harm to kids will try and get around those sort of robust safeguards in place. And so this type of education, I said, like prevention education works. It's really meant to build on all of those safeguards that, ourselves as a platform and other platforms are putting in place. Because at the end, like helping teens and parents and educators know how to spot these harms, know that help is available if it does happen, is also incredibly important.
Yes, and thank you so much for touching a point on that, Leah, because I feel like we, or at least Meta as a company, can do so much, but I feel like at the end of the day, it's everyone's responsibility as a community to help protect their children. So like Sue, also with their programs and how they train teachers and how they support not only the children, but everyone around them, because they have like this net where they basically can use them to get help, to understand what is right and what is wrong, and kind of grow with those people around them. I feel like that is so important because sometimes we just leave the responsibility to others. And at the end of the day, it's everyone around the children that should be responsible to helping them prevent. And if something happens, also helping them understand what they should do. So I understand, and I feel like this presentation and this project is so important also because of that. And now it's time to
Can I say one
take
thing on that?
everyone. Oh, of course, of course.
I appreciate that perspective so much. And I think that is sort of the ask here today too, right? Like there is a free new resource developed by like multiple experts, but people do have to sort of take that resource and go out and use it. So I hope everyone takes this opportunity to go check it out. Because it's amazing. It's developed for parents, for educators, for community leaders, for anyone that mentors or cares or teaches teens to be able to pick up and use. It's very self-service. And so even if you don't have a ton of experience in the education space or with safety, there's an incredible facilitator training that really walks you through everything. So to your point, like there's a whole ecosystem of nonprofits, of parents, of educators, of creative agencies, of tech companies that can sort of build that whole, ecosystem-wide safety net around these kids and really make sure that they're having these sort of safe online experiences. So, love the perspective and just wanted to give that plug to go check it out and use it.
Thank you for that. And I just want to chime in very quickly just to say, there are a lot of people demanding tech companies do more to ensure online safety. And that's all well and good, and many of them are. But these, as you were saying, Molly, there are things coming out every day, and some platforms don't do a good job of it. So we need to make sure that kids, teens, families, everyone is prepared to handle anything that any situation that they get into. So it's not about guardrails. It's about learning how to drive in that lane and not bump into the sides.
For sure. Yeah, no, I agree 100%. It's about everyone taking a little piece of that responsibility and owning it and supporting from their place. Like everyone can do something about it. And it's not just leaving it to another person or, like you said, another entity, another company, another organization to do it. It's just taking that step and that assuming that responsibility. Because at the end of the day, we're a community. And like Leah said, it's all an ecosystem where everyone is just connected. So thank you. Thank you for saying that. And now we are going to walk you through a little bit of the behind the scenes. So this is meant to be a really fun part. Here you're going to see how we actually created the videos. So let's start the presentation. Okay, perfect. So as you can see here, these are the steps of the video series. So we are going to talk about the character proposal. So you're going to see very fun sketches that we started to work with, how those evolve into the final characters that we are seeing on the videos. We also worked on storyboard per video. Of course, each video had its own story, its own scenes, the voiceovers, everything was very specific to each one of the videos. Then we worked on the voiceover. It was really important to have the perfect professional, just taking that character personalization for the specific person that was speaking in the video. So you're going to see that we went through a lot of voiceover professionals until we picked the perfect match to each character. And at the end, we provided the videos first without music, and then we provided just the final deliverables, as you will see. So in the next slide, we will be able to start with the proposal. So this was actually the script that we received from the team, from Child Help, where, like Sue said, we didn't want it to make it person-based. So we actually wanted to create a character from scratch. So like anyone could basically be connected to the character, because it wasn't a person or it wasn't someone that you were not engaged with. At the end of the day, it was a character that could be connected to anyone on the audience that was watching it. Then on the second one, as you will see, we received, of course, the first sketches of what each character was going to say and also what they wanted to present with each scene. And this was the first draft. I love it because you will see the transformation from this to the actual characters. Here was very important, and Leah and Sue can jump in. The feedback from the youth group, please. I know we have a lot of funny stories behind it.
Yeah, first of all, when we first received from our kernel of an idea some of these sketches, we thought, all right, we're going to bring them into this youth workshop, and they're probably going to say, oh, this is just, too young, and we need something more sophisticated, and we'd have to go back to the drawing board. Well, we were so wrong, and that's why it's so important to get the youth voice at the table, because they loved these characters from the get-go. And these, like I said, these were the perfect age group that would eventually be seeing this video series. They loved them. They had lots of creative and actionable comments about what should change about some of them, which ones they really loved from the beginning and which ones they didn't. So it was a very fruitful way to work on those.
Yes, if we can go into the next one. Yes, as you can see here, they are taking a little bit of more shape. And if we see the next slide, we finally had the approved characters. A lot of them changed, others didn't. Some of them made the cut, some of them didn't. But it was a really exciting process. I don't know, Leah, if you want to add something.
It was exciting. It was fun. There was feedback as you sort of see the evolution of them. Some of them weren't wearing clothes to start, and the kids were like, this is about safety. We think everyone should probably be wearing clothes. Some of them looked a little more human than not human. They're like, hey, this one seems like it doesn't really belong with the rest. They had ideas on clothes around making them, hip and middle school like. They had ideas on hairstyles. They gave feedback on the way that they thought their body should move and sort of the role that they should play. Some of them were, moody and some that they just like fell in love with from the get-go. But having their feedback and those voices and then just seeing the sort of evolution of how those characters really came to life, I think animation studios and creative studios are able to take this feedback and build something so incredible that aligns with it. It's always amazing to see. So really, really appreciate the work that Bunny Studio did on this. I think it turned out fantastic.
Thank you. Yeah, I was part of a lot of this back and forth meetings. And for example, when we approved the characters and we jump into the storyboard sketches, I remember that we involved the video producer. We also involved project managers. So you could see that everyone was just bringing their ideas and of course, receiving the feedback. So if we can go into the next slide, you're going to see how everything was just becoming more real. And I love that feeling of after each meeting, as you can see now the character had an environment, they had a room, they had a school where they go to. So seeing all of that take shape, it was just amazing. And of course, it had a lot of people involved. And finally, on the storyboards, just one step before creating the final videos, there we can see everything, just what the character is saying, what the scene is representing, how the scene is looking like. Is it in a room or is it in a classroom? How many characters are being just interacting with each other? So after this is when we jump into the video. So we're going to play one more video for you today.
Being online with friends is great, but sometimes it's not so great. Things online can be uncomfortable, and knowing what to do can help you stay safe. Like, someone might ask for a pic, and it might seem fine at the time, but your relationship with them could change. You have a right to say no, even if you've already shared something before. Watch out for red flags, like someone coming on too strong. If something doesn't feel right, it probably isn't. You can always tell someone if things get weird. Talking about it can help you, and it can help others. And if someone sends you a pic of someone else, report it and don't share it. It's not up to you to decide who should see it. If a friend is going through something, let them know you're there for them. You can help them figure out what to do together. There are always options. Everyone deserves to be safe online.
I just love it. I can't get enough of seeing them over and over again. But yeah, it was at the beginning, I can say from Bunny Studio, I remember just thinking, oh my God, it's such a big challenge that we are getting into, but we felt so honored from the get-go, because something is when you're working on a project, but you also believe so much in the content that you are producing and the important of its message at the end of the day, that was what really had everyone just more engaged, because it was like, not only I love what we're doing, but also I love that it's making a difference in the world, and it's making a difference in the children that are going to see it, and the teens that are growing up into watching this, and hopefully they get that awareness and they know how to act in the future when something like this happens. So I remember that we thought, oh, it's a big challenge, but at the same day, we're so honored to be a part of this. So I have a really important question, and I know that both of you are going to help me here, but what are the channels and how this animated series is going to be distributed? I know that a lot of people that are watching us and are going to watch this webinar later on, they want to know. So if you can tell us a little bit, Sue, about it.
Sure, and I just want to respond to what you said last. The kind of embracing of our mission and of this entire project and other projects in the past is something that we absolutely have, really take to heart about Bunny Studio, because that's always been the case. And you all are, you very much look at what the end purpose of everything that you do is, and we really appreciate that. It's one of many things we appreciate. We love working with the teams, which are, so well put together, and the fact that you're so responsive. So, yeah, I could go on and on about that. But to answer your question, the video series, as I said, it helps to convey in an engaging way the 5 critical messages that we're conveying in this curriculum module. And so the videos are actually embedded in the lesson itself. There is a PowerPoint slide presentation that facilitators of the program can utilize to present the lesson to students. The lessons are, like all of our lessons in all of our curriculum, are fully scripted, and videos and other engaging elements are all embedded into that. So it's a very turnkey program. And in addition, because this is something that everyone can utilize, we also are sharing out the videos on our YouTube channel. And if you go to YouTube and go to childhelp.org, underneath there are various channels about our history, about our ambassadors all over the world. But there's also a channel called Helping Kids Speak Up and Be Safe, and that's all of our prevention program videos. So there is a mounting collection there, and these are among them.
And I think that because the videos are embedded within the curriculum, and we're doing everything we can to get the word out. Child Help's work across the board, and including this curriculum. Another exciting partnership that we have with this, where the videos are also embedded, is Child Help and Meta have both partnered with an organization called Life Smarts. And Life Smarts has a really awesome model too, where they have high schoolers going and teaching the curriculum to middle schoolers. So this sort of like train the trainer model, where the high schoolers are getting that experience to lead and to show up in a awesome way for younger students, and those younger students are getting to learn from peers who they look up to, who they admire. So it's awesome when they get to learn from adults. Also super cool to be able to learn from a high schooler. So another way that we're out there getting this curriculum in front of people. And the last thing that I'll mention in terms of trying to reach the masses is that we are starting to work with parent creators as well on the Instagram side, and having them go and talk about this important work to their communities, because it's great for a classroom, also great for a one-on-one setting. And so if we have parents out there talking about this with other parents, encouraging other parents to go and learn and explore and go through it with their kids, show them those videos, we just know that we'll amplify how many students and teens we are reaching with these resources.
Amazing. I feel like we're trying to target them from every scene. So I love it. And is there anything that we can say to our audience or people watching this in the future of how they can basically take this and raise awareness and promote online safety within their communities? Sue?
Absolutely. So, as we mentioned, thanks to the partnership with Meta, we're able to, for the first time, Child Help is able to offer a curriculum module absolutely free to everyone. We've been able to do that through, grants and things like that, usually on a state basis, sometimes local. But for the first time, we're able to nationally and internationally offer the module. And even if someone thinks, oh, I'm not going to teach any kids, it's okay. You can go through the training so that you're aware and can share it with others. Send parents, educators, anybody else in the community that you feel like could benefit from it, send that link. And right now, if you go onto the childhelp.org site or onto the speakupbesafe.org pages for the curriculum, for the prevention curriculum. At the bottom is there's a pop-up banner that comes up that takes you directly to the page where the curriculum lives.
Amazing. I feel like it's so important for everyone to understand what they can do. I mean, I will be one that will go through the curriculum, and we never know when you might need this information at hand and it can come handy. So you never know what the future might, and it's better to be prepared. So thank you so much for helping us go into this topic today that is so trendy and it's so important to help our kids and our teens to be safe online. And just one small question before we jump into the Q&A, that I know that we have a lot of questions coming in from the chat. If you can tell us really quickly, how was your perspective working with us in Bunny Studio? I can give a little bit of time for Sue and Leah to mention about that.
Well, I could spend a lot of time gushing about working with Bunny Studio. I guess what most people would need to know is that Bunny Studio is so great at assembling teams to focus on any particular goal or challenge. And there is one of the things I love is that there's redundancy. If someone's off doing something else, somebody else always jumps on. If there's something that needs some quick turnaround, we've always had such a wonderful experience with that. The other thing that's amazing is all of the different services that are under one roof. If you recall, because we've been working together that long, years ago, we started out, the curriculum program started out just utilizing voiceover and then actually Spanish language voiceover as well, because we offer all of our curriculum in both English and Spanish. And then moved on to, other things, the design work, the transcreation of entire modules from English version to a full Spanish version. That's just invaluable to us. And you've made it all very easy to work on. So appreciate it.
I think Zuzana said it all. I think the last thing I would add is that the way that kids receive information is so important. And for this topic, this can be, and it is a heavier topic. And so being able to educate them in a lighthearted way, in a way that's not scary, is so important in order for them to really absorb that message and to really tune into it. And so I think that Bunny Studio just did the most fantastic job in taking that sort of tone and request for that sort of lighthearted approach so that we can really effectively deliver that message.
Thank you, Sue, and thank you, Leah. I know that from our end, it was just an honor to work on this and to be a part of it. So thank you so much for involving us. And now time for some Q&A that were coming in through the chat. So we have a question from Paula, which is there a plan to continue this series? Also, I have that same question. So who can jump in?
I'm not sure if that one would be then for the Meta side or for the Child Help side. I think it would be great to be able to continue the series. I think this was a pretty big initiative to get us jump started with focusing on that middle school audience, and that middle school audience being a really important time to be getting that education out there when kids are starting to get devices. And so I think thinking about, what those next phases look like is definitely a conversation that we're having.
Amazing. And we're so excited if this new just series comes up as a continuation of this one. It would be so fun because I feel like we are now connected and engaged to the characters that we want to know what happens next. So I feel like a lot of the kids watching it will have the same feeling. And also we have another question, and I feel like it's very connected with what Sue just said about supporting and creating the programs not only in English but also in Spanish, because we know that in the US the Hispanic community is a very big one, and it's important to also gather this message in their original languages. So are you planning to translate these videos? This question is for Veer Sans. She says, I'd love to share them in my Spanish speaking community.
Yay, happy to hear that. Yes, absolutely. It's being done as we speak. So as I mentioned, one of the commitments that Child Help has made is that we are offering all of our curriculum, and as we add modules, we will keep doing this in both English, which is the first most prevalent language in the United States, and Spanish, which is the second. Obviously, that also opens it up to Spanish-speaking countries elsewhere, as well as, English is spoken in a lot of the world, and we do have a lot of folks using our programs throughout the world. The other thing that we do, just for everyone's information, is we work with others in communities where they actually want to translate into a specific language that's less often spoken. So we work with them to ensure that things are translated well, and that there's fidelity in the programming, that they're able to take the Child Help program into an adapted environment. So we work with anyone who wants to work with us on that.
Yes, and we're so excited that the Spanish videos are coming up soon. And so one last question, and this one is specifically for Zuzana. In your experience with Child Help over the years, how did reality change for kids with the advancements in technology?
That is a loaded question that could take a long time to answer. But so technology and the internet is a whole new world that opens up for, all of us. So there is, as you all know, there's a form of digital citizenship that takes place when one is in the online world, as opposed to the, kind of brick and mortar reality that we all live in. And it has its own set of rules. And so there's a big difference between how kids and teens see people that they know in real life as opposed to online. They see them as friends, even though they may only know them through their avatars online. And so there's a reality that comes with that, about communicating how to recognize risks, or have awareness of things that they need to watch for. So we were very aware of that. The other thing that has changed quite a bit is, since we had the COVID epidemic a few years back, kids were online all the time, pretty much. They were being taught online. They didn't go into schools. And so one of the things that, even though that has changed and many kids are back to going to, regular schools and things like that, it raised awareness of the kinds of communication that needs to take place, and how people can watch for signs of something being, risky, because kids are online more often, if that makes sense. I hope that answered the question. Maybe Leah can
Yes, I
speak to
think
it a little bit more as well.
No, Zuzana, I think that you covered it. I think if I was going to add something, I would think about sort of an analogy to driving a car, where you don't just hand the keys to a car to a brand new driver, right? There's a lot of like training and education that goes into that driving process, a lot of practice. And so making sure that as, you know, and to Susanna's point, kids and teens, they use online spaces to connect. It's a really can be a really, really and is a really, really positive part of their lives, and our digital lives and our offline lives are just so entwined, but they need to have the skills to navigate those online spaces effectively. So the same way that a new driver is going to go through those training experiences, their parents are going to help them, a driving teacher is going to help them. They're going to have that sort of training before they go off and drive on their own. It's the same thing with using online spaces where they really do need to have that education. And that's why these types of resources are so important to get into the hands directly of the people who are able to educate those teens and those new online users.
I love that analogy. Thank you so much, Leah. And 100%. I mean, you wouldn't just give your car's key to a person that has never even seen a car before. So, yes. Well, thank you so much, Zuzana and Leah, for coming here with us today. We are honored to be part of this partnership with you. And I wanted to say that we're sharing the links here on the chat so you can go and watch the videos. You can go and follow Meta, follow Child Help, and learn more about what they're doing on a day-to-day basis, because this is not it, okay? These people do a lot of other things that they have mentioned throughout this webinar to try to support and help children stay safe online. So thank you everyone so much for coming here today.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you.